Hey everyone, Loomis here, and now that Sleipnir has been out for a few days, I want to get out some revised tips that I have after actually doing the fight. So, as of this moment, I've hit a 6.1 million score. So, I think that there's a few things that I definitely realized doing the fight that are much different than some of the thoughts I had before the fight was released. So, without any further ado, let's jump in. So, for Alti, you run spirit boots if you have them. It's so much better than amulet. Now, for those of you who don't know, on the second phase, the moving phase, you have to be able to move again or attack from range, because if you finish a turn in a direct line, vertically or horizontally, from Sleipnir, he is just going to one-shot you, and then what happens is once he one-shots you, he gets to act again and then one-shot someone else, in all likeliness. So the ability for Alti to run an attack and then move away is significantly beneficial. The other area where that comes in handy is that after the second attack on the standing phase, the unit that gets hit by it has all their mobility removed. So what you're able to do with Alti here is you can attack the boss and then retreat back 2 squares, which puts you outside of the 2 square range for the AoE and will let you have another unit tank it if you'd like. Now, this happens to be very... it can be beneficial on some of the earlier phases where, another character, let's say a Luna or a Leon, is going to do more counter damage back to the boss than Alti would. And the other thing I'd like to mention is that you can run parry over strong arm because you get the benefit just passively. Now, I think strong arm is better overall, but it is an option. Parry just requires basically perfect positioning. And I've also adjusted the recommended equipment slightly. I added in Last Night there because Last Night, it gives him more HP rather than attack, but it also gives the chance to proc an attack down, which is very useful throughout the fight. So just something to consider there. Now, Hein, I miscast as a support unit. He is most definitely a tank for this fight. Ideally you really need to run him with Steel and Amulet, because then he gets over 100% damage reduction, and then you just put him in to eat the stomp, and Bob's your uncle. You're looking really pretty. You're sitting really pretty. So I'd also say put a Charon on him, or a Charon on him. That just helps. The extra 15% damage taken significantly increases your DPS and helps you score out immensely. So that's the small adjustment I made there. I think it's much better than Tenyo's on this fight. And I'd say for all fights that you don't have Jugler for, so that so it'd be Nidhogg, Sleipnir this fight, and H&M. You want a character with Karen on him, so you're able to proc the defense down, or sorry, the damage taken increase. Jugler can do that through Hellhounds, so that's where you don't need it. Now, you might be able to run a Matthew with Hellhounds on H&M. I wouldn't necessarily recommend it, but that's one area where you can do it as well. It is a 5% higher debuff, and it's 100%, so just some things to consider. Alright, so Liana is also a tank here. The nice thing about her is you can use the Sky Archer to act as a sacrifice on the stomp attack. So, for those of you who have tried the fight, you know that on the stationary phase, his second attack is a super powerful stomp that it's really strong. It's really hard to live through. You can use your Sky Archer to eat that and buy yourself more time. And basically, if you can do it in a way that lets you buy enough time to kill him that phase before you have to get stomped on again, you effectively have bought yourself 2 more phases, because it's very... once you beat the odd phase, it's very easy to live through the even phase, unless you're having units already die, because there's no AoE, there's no nothing, and you are able to cheese the moving around of Sleipnir to avoid his hunted attack. So, yeah, Leon's great for that. I'd say Steel is probably recommended if you're hardcore. I mean, she is a healer, so Crystal, beneficial, even Full Moon or something. But, if you want her to have the 100% damage reduction, run Steel. And Amulet, obviously. So, Emrich, the big draw with him is that he has Move Again with no Spirit Boots. So he can run the Amulet safely, or any other accessory you please, but he does actually not need Spirit Boost, which is a huge boon for him. And he's also the only unit that can naturally ram and run. So Leon obviously has smash, and with his talent, he can run 3 squares after he attacks. No other unit for this fight, I'm almost 100% sure, has both a ram skill and a move again skill. So that also just adds to his usability on this fight. Now, the big drawback for Emrich is the fact that he only has a 1 square guard, so you really need to have your positioning on point with him if you use him. But he does provide some flexibility that is immensely valuable for this fight. Now, Serena, I would only say run the ram on her if you have Spirit Boots, because otherwise you're ramming him in, it doesn't matter what direction, you're still in line of the boss. So you're going Sleipnir, so you're going to need Spirit Boots so you can reposition after, or a clothesline pull. Now, clothesline pull is definitely viable on her because through Solidarity and Unbreakable Guardian, she can stack her attack to insane levels, like Luna-esque levels. So she's going to be, stacking, a fully built Serena can stack like 3,000 attack. So she's not going to mind running the clothesline pull. And I would say, unless you have Spirit Boots and you're going to clothesline pull or ram, Attack Support L is a great buff because it gives 2 random units on your team a 15% damage buff, which is excellent. So make sure you definitely run Solidarity and the Guard, so you have the conversion. And then the last skill, you could run Block there as well, but I would say it's Attack Support if you don't have Spirit Boots or clothesline pull, or if you do have those, and ram if you have the Spirit Boots or the clothesline pull, and attack support if you don't. Alright, so Fergus, skip attack intimidate, just run armor pierce. The 30% damage down debuff is very valuable, and double DPS makes him much more, it makes him much more powerful. Now, the interesting thing, and so Durik on Baldia, I was watching him on stream do this fight, and he was about to die to a stomp and have his run die, but I realized that, and I suggested to him that you can use Fergus to get stomped on and effectively survive. So because he had the HP low enough to get through the rest of that phase, so he moved Fergus to position. Fergus got stomped. He got out of that odd phase unscathed otherwise, and then was able to get 2 phases later. So he was able to beat the even phase and get back to the next odd phase. And get an S rank. So that's actually one huge thing that Vargas can do that other units can't necessarily do is, use the revive to survive stomps. Now, Serena can do this as well. So, if you want to bring Entrenchment, her revive skill, that lets you do it twice. So something to consider there. Now for Leon, I think you have to run Last Night on him if you don't have another source of attack down. His attack, Sleipnir's attack just scales so high that it's almost unthinkable to not have some sort of mechanism to attack down him. So, if you run it on another unit, that's one thing. If you have another, whatever it is. But I think it's getting his attack down, both attack down and damage dealt down is huge. And I think Royal Calves are much superior to Vampire Bats on this fight. Royal Vampire Bats, the sustain, I think, if you have Iris and Olivia or some combination of heals, you're gonna do pretty well for sustain, as well as the flyer perks for soldiers don't really matter because you're basically never gonna be attacking anyone at 100% health, and the damage down on terrain is not really effective here. Where Royal Calves, they have reduced damage taken when attacking, and when you're close to allies, you have an attack defense increase. So I think their perks are just much better here, and bats have no innate stat boost. They just have the heal, where Royal Calves have make Leon much bulkier by increasing his damage reduction. So Bernhardt here, I actually think I underrated him a little bit, because if you have enough push skills, so if you have 2 push skills or you have Spirit Boots, he's excellent. And his talent, being able to drop up to 15% attack and defense is just insanely good for this fight. So because of that, I moved up Spirit Boots as his most recommended accessory, just because it gives him so much more flexibility in this fight and helps out tremendously. Alright, so now Olivia, I've told people, and I stand by this, that Olivia does not require any runes to be run on this fight. However, the one thing that he'll be missing from his kit is sorceresses, which are much, much, much better than Sky Archers. So, if you are using Olivia on a budget, Sky Archers are totally fine. However, the sorceresses are way better. And I also think that it's probably his best bow is actually Hydra's, because you can attack single target instead of Roaring Bomb early, still proc the damage dealt down. Not as good as a debuff because it's one less turn. It's only a 50% proc, but it can help you do increased damage in the early phases, which might be it can really add up by the end of the fight. So just something to consider there. Lanford, wow. I mentioned how the command aura is important for leaderboarding. I really underestimated how OP it is. The stats I have on some of my units are just, insane. My Luna, for example, has over 2,800 attack. You're just getting insane boosts on everyone and making your team so much stronger. You can also run Spirit Boots on Lanford, though he does have Javelin, so if you are limited in Spirit Boots, like let's say you're running Burn and Lanford together, or Ulti in Lanford, I would prefer, and you only have one pair of Spirit Boots, I would prefer to put them on one of the others, especially Ulti, but I would put them on Burn before I would put them on Lanford, just because Lanford does have a mechanism to attack from range and or reposition. Now, Iris here, Mass Heal, I initially said use Jardin. Mass Heal is way better. It just helps the heal output so much more. You don't necessarily need the damage increase from Jardin, although the damage taken buff is helpful, but the cooldowns is so long. You're just going to get so much more value out of Mass Heal, and I really hope you have a Teddy Bear. Dolly on this fight, a Teddy Bear Dolly is so strong, and it provides so much healing that it's an absolute no-brainer to run, and the Teddy Bear just, makes it so much better. And definitely use a Karen over Tenios for her. Now, as far as the units I like a lot less, I do have some more thoughts on them too. So Weiler is essentially in the same boat as a Hein here, I would say, or somewhere between like a Hein and a Liana. Actually, more like Liana a bit, because he is a healer, and he has the Shrine Maiden, so he can also achieve over 100% damage reduction here. So Weiler, if you are a Weiler user, he is an interesting choice here and can act as a tank. So something to consider. Imelda has problems. I'd say I don't think her healing output is particularly that great, because what makes Iris' healing output so good is Dolly, not necessarily Mass Heal. I do understand that Imelda has regrowth as well, but the damage buff is nice, but I still think that Imelda is lacking things for this fight, so I would not go to my way to use her, but she's definitely usable. Leonhardt, there are a few people who have gotten S ranks with using Leonhardt as a tank. Personally, it's not my favorite, but he's definitely usable there. If anyone has any more questions on that, I can break down that further and ask for some tips on some of the people I know who have S ranked with him. And then Elwyn is very similar to Burn here, where Elwyn has significantly higher damage than Burn. Burn has the aura, so I think Elwyn is just Burn that is less useful Burn with more damage basically. So if you have a Spirit Boots for him, he's going to be very useful. But Burn, I would say, has more value overall, and I don't know why you'd use Elwyn over Burn for this fight. So that's it for the video today here, guys. Thank you so much for watching. I'd really appreciate it if you could hit the like button and subscribe to my channel, hit the notification bell so you can get my next video update. I think my next video is going to be a Sleipnir positioning guide, so I'm going to work on that, and hopefully that should be out soon. And as always, if you guys have any other questions about this fight or comments on some of my opinions about Sleipnir, please let me know, and be happy to chat. Alright guys, thank you so much, and I will see you again soon.